2013, the year I just finished harvesting several days ago. Toughest year ever. Wet, planted late, planted part of my corn in June, all of my soybeans in June. Normally I'd like to have all that done by early May. Didn't work out this year. And then it was wet, and then it was cold, and then it was dry. It was the wettest spring, then the driest summer, drier than the year before. 2012, the great drought, as they described, still had good yields. This year, I expected the poorest yields I will probably thought I'd ever see. But I have been amazed, and I had not the best yields, but extremely good yields. And considering the year, I and all of other agriculture in my part of the state are amazed at how well these new seeds perform in the adverse climates we sometimes get. And I know that what I got this fall was attributed to those seeds and that seed treatment, because those poor seeds, they suffered miserably from the early May, and some of them were planted and they had 6 inches of snow on them. And then we finished up in June. So those are my comments. It's great technology. I appreciate it because I've gone from none to this. And so I'm looking, I hope Lord gives me another 10 years, and I'm going to see what you guys come up with in the future.
Tim, not only do you lead Truth About Technology and Trade, but you've had a lot of experience leading the U.S. Grains Council, Trade Committee, National Corn Growers Association Board of Directors, chaired the Iowa Corn Growers Association. So you've been around the world and you've seen farming in lots of different countries and what the demand horizon looks like, and yet you go home every day and do that hard work of farming. So thank you for that. I think it's really important that we emphasize once again the comments that have been shared here so far about productivity improvements, but also care for the environment. And a year ago, ASTA and CropLife came together and said, you know, there are a lot of questions being raised about dust emissions from treated seed planting and whether or not that might affect pollinators. And so we launched this seed treatment stewardship initiative a year ago, and we're about to now go forward with year number 2 and phase 2, reaching out to farmers and the seeds industry to remind everyone that is involved in the chain of commerce with regard to treated seed and the products associated with seed treatment, that these products do require the care that is instructed on the product pesticide label as indicated by US EPA's registration process. And so we're pleased to have been able to raise awareness and remind farmers and the seeds industry of the importance of stewardship as well, because we do care about the environment, and we want these products to continue to provide those environmental and health and safety benefits, as well as continuing to increase productivity and incent additional innovation. So with that, we're prepared to accept questions from those of you in the room or also those on the telephone who might want to ask a question. Yes, sir. And could I ask you to identify yourself when you ask your question?
What would you estimate you save a year? How many sprays did you used to have to put on, either broadcast or aerial, or how many sprays a year are you saving with the use of the...
What was your first name?
Dave.
David. That depended on the year. Now, I'll give you an example. If you had a black cutworm flight coming, I mean, you never knew. The issue was you had to be out there and catch it before it got you. And if you were asleep at the wheel, the cutworms got the plants. And then you'd go out and try and spray, you know, and you'd say, well, we'll try and catch the next one. So the answer is, it might have been $5, it might have been 10, it might have been nothing. But you never knew. And and I can remember driving by, right by my house. I mean, we're all asleep at the switch at times. All at once I'm looking at my corn stand, and corn just about that high, you can just start to see it, and all at once it's starting to disappear. And I wasn't paying attention. The seed treatments today protect those plants, and it allows my management skills, it enhances my management skills, because I needed it. So I don't know if I've answered your question. You never know then But I haven't sprayed for black cutworms in years.
Great. Another question?
Fortunate. Other people may be, but I've just been fortunate there.
Yes.
This is Sarah. I also have a question for Tim. I was wondering, is there other aspects other than like sticky seeds or stuff like that that would prevent producers from adopting technologies such as this?
Cost is always one. But we've demonstrated it's cost and return. You know, if we can get a return, that won't stop you. If it'll go through the planter, and I mean, it's got to go through. You get your seed tubes, they plug up. The seed is sticky, it plugs up. You only go through that once and you say, I'll never do that again, because if you've got a 24-row planter stop for an hour, you know, that's 40 acres that isn't planted when you're trying to clean it out. So you learn that I'll never use that again. So I can't think of another one. If it works, if it's cost efficient, and we know that there's benefit there, but we need the research. The research, you know, farmers are reading. We have seed salesmen coming to us and say, we'll sell you this and we'll sell you that. And that's great. But I always say, show me the research that says there's benefit. And if there's benefit, we'll do it, because I'm always looking for management enhancement.
So that's a great question, and I would also add that we've talked about biological products being part of the suite of seed treatment active ingredients today, and other beneficial biological seed treatment products that aren't specifically for a traditional crop protection outcome. So organic farmers will have some products that are certified as organic approved by USDA's organic program, but the range of products that are available to organic farmers for seed treatment is very narrow, and the conventional farmers will use those biologicals that are certified for organic production, but then they have the suite of other synthetic products available too. And that helps also for another phenomenon that's important that we haven't talked about in specific this morning, and that is rotation of different modes of action to manage the development of resistance by the pests, whether it's disease or insect. Andy, did you want to add?
Well, the other thing that's important to stress, to point out as you look at this, is much like the seed company does with testing varieties, they test the seed treatments. Because you've got the different environments that you're going into. It may be the southeast where it's hot and humid, or you're going into the north where you've got, you know, a shorter time period and shorter light days that you have to deal with, or you go into the southwest or California. So you've got to have the ability to fit that area. And so the seed companies are going to test those various recommendations that they'll make prior to going to the farmer and saying, try this. It's not going to be the first test to the farmer. There's several generations that go through that, not only to prove that varieties are effective and are going to perform, but the treatment that go on them or the recommendations that they make to the farmer are going to be the right recommendations.
Another question? Anyone on the telephone with a question? I don't know if we have the ability to hear them.
If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And you have a question from Jenny Hopkinson.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just making sure. Hi, yeah, this is Jenny Hopkinson from Politico. My question is kind of about the timing of the report. I mean, the EU earlier this week actually started kind of limiting or put in place its limit on certain synthetic and neonicotinoid pesticides because of concerns over pollinators. And I mean, is this report kind of an effort to say, you know, the U.S. doesn't need to do that, that there's responsible ways to use these chemicals that don't have a negative effect on pollinators? I mean, is that the point of, or is that one of the benefits of issuing this report now?
Well, thank you, Jenny. So it is coincidental that our report is coming out this week when the EU has made this additional regulatory announcement. However, I would observe that the EU is announcing something unusual almost every week, so it really doesn't matter what week we would have chosen. No, we are not reacting or responding to the European Union's regulatory decisions. We are in constant dialogue with our colleagues at the European Crop Protection Association and have been pleased that the U.S. government has also participated in the dialogue about the regulatory science that underpins decisions that have profound outcomes. And we've talked to a lot of European farmers who are very worried about the loss of this technology for their planting season beginning in 2014 and the impacts on productivity that are almost certain to be very negative for European agriculture. But at the end of the day, I think it's important to understand the benefits of technologies, but it's also important to understand that we have high regard for the scientific process and the use of risk assessment in the American government, and particularly at USDA's Office of Pesticide Products when they make registration decisions and re-registration decisions and reevaluate pesticide products. And we're in constant dialogue with the U.S. government, including the Office of Pesticide Programs, about concerns with regard to all the technologies that our industry brings to the marketplace and the use of science and the regulatory process to make sure that these products are in fact safe and effective. And so there is a big difference between the United States and the European Union around the use of risk assessment and the regulatory process, and we hope that the European Union will change their minds someday.